All right, guys, we are at that place where we're going to start moving in for the rest of the semester toward the realm of interpretation, actually doing the hard work of drawing out the meaning of the text. As you'll see in your class notes, this is section 4 of 4 sections. So for the rest of the semester, this is going to be where we're at. By now, you should have a really good grasp, or at least a growing grasp, on these first 3 sections. So I have created a discussion thread where you can ask me questions, where you can post a question about any one of these first 3 sections, and I will respond to that throughout the week. And that way, you guys can kind of get a little bit of the sense of what it's like in class when somebody asks a question and then I respond to that question. You can kind of listen in. You can ask a further question if you want to, because I want to make sure as we move forward into this 4th and final section, which will take us to the end of the semester, you have a really good foundation under your feet. I want to make sure that we're all speaking the same language and being guided by these principles and letting that shape a methodology that we can very practically implement in drawing out the meaning of the text. Make sure that you go ahead and look at what is required in your reading this week, because you'll start to read in this section. We're moving into the realm of observing the historical background and observing some of the details of James chapter 1, because James is going to be the book that we practically work through to do some of the work of the practice of interpretation. You've already done a little bit of that, but I want to make sure that you're reading ahead, looking at that. One thing I want you to note at this point in the semester is go ahead and look ahead to class assignment number 7. Because class assignment number 7 is really recreating the historical background of the letter of James. And you're going to be looking for that relationship between the author and the audience and any other relevant background material, and really spend time kind of trying to recreate that and put that frame around the letter of James that we've talked about. That, and I don't know if you remember this or not, but that as you study through a book or a letter, studying the historical background of the whole book or the whole letter really kind of frames, not limits, but frames the context in which you're reading. And James is one of those books that you'll really see that. That as you understand the conversation and the circumstances and the timing and events that was going on between James and his audience, then you read James and you start to go, wow. And the text becomes alive. But I'm being honest with you, this class assignment right here is worth more than the other ones, except for class assignment 12, because you're going to have to do more work. So I'm warning you in advance, it's coming. Go ahead and look in your class notes, read it, be gathering your materials, start to read through some of those materials, start to take notes, take footnotes, and be preparing for that. Because if you wait to the last minute to try to do the third part and actually write the paper, you're going to die a slow, cruel death. And that has come from many a student who has tried to wait until the last minute. So don't be one of those. Start working ahead. If you have any questions, let me know. It's a really, really exciting assignment, but it can be a very, very painful process of getting there. So make sure you take note of that. It's coming on down the line here, and I want to make sure that you're ready for it. 2, some of the things that are the resources that are required, we have in our library here, that you, being a long ways away, might not have access to. And so look at this class assignment and look at the resources that are required. See which materials that you have. See which ones you don't have. And start to look and see if you have access to any of those. If you don't, start to kind of research what you do have. I tell students all the time, I don't really want you using things like study Bibles or commentaries that are more sermon. They call them kind of expositional commentaries, where they're somebody's sermon recorded, because these guys have already done the work of exegesis and they're telling you what they've found. And it's easy to read those and go, I agree, but you're not actually doing the work of exegesis yourself at this point. It's not because those commentaries don't have a place in the Bible study methods process. It's certainly not that study Bibles don't have a place, but for the purpose of this paper, I want you to not use those, and I want you to use more exegetical commentaries, introductory works, some of the beginning sections of like your Hebrew commentary will point you in a direction. Because that way you can actually do the work of trying to work from A to Z instead of just reading somebody's Z result comments and going, I agree or I disagree. I want you to be able to build that background yourself, because I think you'll find it extremely beneficial, even if it is a little painful. So start looking at what resources you have. If you have any questions, let me know about your resources and I can interact with them. Okay? So again, make sure you know the first 3 sections well. Remember that I've created a thread that you can ask me questions on. Make sure you're looking ahead to class assignment 7, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the semester as we take all of this and put it into practice.